Hey guys, today we're going to do a quick comparison between the Ultrasabers Graflex and the Ultrasabers Prophecy. As you know, if you've seen my top 10 sabers video, these two were my top two, my number one and my number two. And the interesting thing is these sabers both appeal to me for very different reasons. I like the Graflex because of its looks. I mean, purely its looks. It's not a comfortable saber to duel with, but it looks phenomenal. And it's, of course, a movie hilt. And I like the Prophecy because it looks really good, and it's also super comfortable to use. And which one you're going to like better is going to, I think, depend on your taste. Are you the kind of person that likes a saber for a shelf queen to just sit there and look pretty? Or are you the kind of person that likes a saber to duel with some and still look good? Or are you the kind of person that just duels all the time and you like having your saber in hand, swinging it around, etc., etc., etc.? Because that's going to make a big difference. Also, size. I prefer this one, but I'm a smaller guy. I'm about 5'6", and I'm very thin. Whereas then somebody bigger might be able to grip this one and use this one better than I can. Now, the Graflex, I do have to point out that the Ultrasabers Graflex isn't movie accurate. They take a few liberties with it. It's very Graflex-like, but it's not as close of a representation of a movie Graflex as some of the other guys do, like Vader's Vault and Saber Forge. But it still looks really good, and it makes a good collection piece. And it still feels nice when you pick it up just to hold it for a few seconds, kind of turn it on and swing it a few times. You get this kind of awe feeling because you're holding, pretty much the first lightsaber from a Star Wars movie. And that's one of the nice reasons to have this one. It is, a collector's item, a classic hilt, a well-known hilt. Probably the most well-known hilt. And that's the reason to own this one. It's not, for dueling. It's for being seen and sitting on a shelf. I mean, it's really well done. These are plastic, by the way, not rubber. Comes standard with an AV switch, so you don't have to pay extra for an AV switch. If you want it illuminated, you have to pay extra. And then it has these buttons right here that are customizable. You can get different options here: red, blue, green, brass, gold, silver. And of course, you got the bunny ears, the curved/slanted emitter that I like. And that's the reason to get that. It's a good shelf queen. Now, the Prophecy is different. It does a good job of looking good and being functional. Now, it might not look as good as, say, the Graflex. It might not be the showpiece the Graflex is. But to me, this saber still looks pretty outstanding. One, it has the slanted emitter. And I love slanted emitters. I'm a big fan of those. That catches my eye right away. It's got these little knobs here which hide the retention screw that hold the blade in place and gives it a little decorative personality. And then you have these two holes here. When the saber is on, the light from the saber will actually shine out of this hole, which is a nice little added feature. Illuminated AV switch. It's illuminated blue. This is my blue Prophecy. Comes standard with a CoverTech wheel. And it still looks nice. It still catches the eye. It's a little more basic, of course, than the Graflex. This is, of course, modeled after Anakin's Episode 2 hilt. But again, a lot of liberties are taken with it. But you can still tell what it's modeled after. Now, if you don't like it in silver, they also do a dark Prophecy in black. That way, you kind of have options. Because naturally, the Graflex is black and silver. But you get to choose with this one if you prefer black or silver. I think this makes a good light side hilt. This makes a good dark side hilt. Mine's in blazing red. I also think it would look good in like a purple bladed color like violet amethyst or dark violet amethyst. And this is one of my most comfortable sabers to hold. And one of the reasons it won on my list is not only does it look good, but it's very comfortable, especially if you get the CoverTech on the proper side, on the right side. If you get it on the left side, it's actually really uncomfortable. At least for me, it gets in the way of my hand. But I'll go into that more in a minute. I just kind of want to talk about, I get asked a lot what saber I think is the best, what saber I think, that was a good first saber. And the problem is that really comes down to what you're looking for in a saber. I plan on doing another video when I really talk about looks versus feel, but I just want to use these as an example. This is a good example of which one of these you should get. Really has to do with what you're looking for in a saber. You know, if you want something that looks good on a shelf, I recommend something like this, or a Guardian, or a Scorpion. I mean, and people who are a lot bigger than me can use these effectively in combat. Somebody more my size or the average size, I think, would have more trouble with them. But if you're looking for something more for spinning and actually using, I would suggest their basic hilts, like their Dominic's line, their Eon line, their Sentinel line, the Prophecies. The Shock actually is really comfortable. And then, of course, there are those that balance the looks. Like, of course, the Prophecy is really good at balancing the looks. And I actually think the Bellicose is probably the best example of looks and comfort mashed together equally in a saber. I'll do another video on that where I talk about that more in depth. But I just kind of wanted to give a little comparison to them as an example of looks versus comfort. The best examples are easily my top two favorite sabers. You know, the Graflex for looks, and this one for comfort and looks. It has the best of both worlds. Another good example would be the Omen. The Omen looks phenomenal because it looks like the Sword of Omens from Thundercats, and I love Thundercats. But you know, don't ever try to duel with it. You know, unless you're really big, like my cameraman can. He's a beast with it. And of course, you have options on some of the sabers, not just the Prophecy and Dark Prophecy. Several of the sabers have different options, like the Menace comes in like 4 different colors. Anyway, let's get them in hand and have a look at them real quick. I'm not going to actually do any spinning just because it's late and I'm a little tired, but like when I grip, for example, the Graflex, it's bigger, it's bulkier. Put my top hand here and my left hand about here. You have to be careful to stay out of the way of the activation box. I know some people like to hold it like this or like this. I'm going to be honest, I don't even know the right way at this point. I don't know. I like to hold it like this because it keeps the activation box out of the way of my hand. These grips down here, they're comfortable for just holding, but for actually dueling with, they get very uncomfortable very quickly. They're a hard plastic, not a rubber. And this part's not actually that bad the way I hold it. But right here, this gets irksome very quickly. And I don't actually recommend dueling with it. Whereas in the Prophecy being smaller and easier to get my hands around, and it doesn't have really anything that gets in the way, especially if you get the cover tech wheel right here, because I tend to grip my right hand always at the top, my left hand wrapped around the bottom. And that's perfect. Right here, this is one of the most comfortable sabers I own, and one of the reasons it made #1 on my top 10 list is because it looks good and it's completely comfortable like this. If you like with this, I have no problems gripping it. The only saber I've ever owned that's probably as comfortable as this was the Shock. The Shock is another really comfortable hilt. It just didn't look as good in my opinion. So that's perfect. This is great for me. I can duel with this saber very easily. Whenever we get the group together, this is usually the saber I use. Not always, but often my go-to. So just quick thoughts on it. Not as coherent as I would have liked. Sorry, I'm tired and I'm rambling a little bit. But I do plan on getting another video out where I go a little more in depth on looks versus comfort, Shelf Queen versus dueling, and how it really boils down to what you're looking for in a saber. Anyway, this has just been a quick comparison between the Graflex and the Prophecy, my two favorite sabers that I own in my collection, and I'm Prowl 1701. If you get a chance, don't forget to, man, I can't talk today, I'm stuttering really bad today. Don't forget to click the subscribe button. I promise I don't normally ramble quite so badly. Click the like button. Let me know what you think. Give me some feedback. If you liked the video, let me know. If you didn't care for it, because it really is one of those days, let me know. It's cool. I love constructive criticism. Thank you for watching. Take care.